Everybody, and welcome to ESO Daily. I am your host, Mr. Graven. Yay! Here we go. All right, guys. So there's a lot, and I mean a lot of things going in with changes to imbalance, synergies. We got a lot of things coming up with Dragon Bones DLC. But one of the biggest things that I want to explore, and I think I'm going to start doing this when people were talking about like balance, is exploring literally the class and taking a look at it and saying, do we really have a huge imbalance between a Stam and a Magica version of said class? So in today's video, I kind of want to explore that. I want to kind of keep unbiased. I always like to keep unbiased, take a look at things from static perspective. And then, minimize the variables, then input variables, and let's take a look at what's going on with the class individually. So today, that's kind of where I'm going to go. I'm hoping I don't crash. So if I crash, I'll be back, but keep our fingers crossed. Okay. So I did get my FTC to work, so it's going to be great. Now, I'm going to go into the skills here. Morning, Mustang. And the first thing I'm going to do is, believe it or not, guys, I'm not going to unlock any passives, right? So I'm not going to unlock any of the Dark Elf passives, and I'm not going to unlock my armor passives. Why is this very important to me? Because it's an added variable, right? So because medium and light armor passives are distinctly different in that perspective to say, okay, well, how is this going to affect modifiers? It's very, very important. Yeah, I'm on the PTS. It says on Xbox. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm on the PTS. So that's nuts. So I'm not going to unlock any of these passives. The only passives I really want to unlock here are my class passives, because that'll apply to both Magic and the Stam. So it's very, very important, because now what I can do is take a look at the Stamina morphs and the Magica morphs and then switch out to said race. Well, add passives, then switch out to said race. So very, very, very important. Why I'm not going to be unlocking passives, because I want to minimize variables to take a look at it from side-by-side comparison. Two of the major abilities that the Mag and the DK share are the morphs to Searing Flame. So for the Magica, we're going to get the Burning Embers, right? So we take a look. Now I'm a Magica. I have everything in a Magica. So I'm going to take the Burning Embers here. Then I'm going to also take the Fiery Breath, right? That's another one I want to take. The Engulfing Flames. All right. So you take a look. There's a major difference here between these. So these are going to be our two abilities we're going to do side-by-side comparisons on. And we'll take a look at it prior and whatever. Morning, Robert. So these are the two abilities I really want to take a look at. And regardless of rotation, regardless of anything, how does the Magica damage deal? And how does the Stam versions deal? So another thing I want to go ahead and do is get myself equipped. Now I want to keep to a neutral type build going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into supplies, and I'm going to take dungeon sets. I want to take the light, and I want to take the medium. Also, I have the willpower, but I also want to grab that agility for when I switch over, and I already have my weapons. So another thing I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to go to the Maelstrom. We'll pick up the staffs. Right now I'm going to grab the Inferno and the Lightning, because I'm going to, right now I'll do the Inferno because it's single target. We're not going to be using wall. Okay, and I'm not going to proc its effect. Another set I want to go ahead and grab, because once again I want to keep neutral. I want to use two sets that are the same. So the other one's Overland. Let me get that. I need an Overland light set. So I'm going to come down here to the Overland, and I'm going to grab We could go spinners, but I'm going with the Mother Sorrow. And I'll go spinners. And we'll grab Spriggans. Because I can use Leviathan. So where is that? Oh, it's in medium. So I need to go back to Overland. I need to pick up the medium set. And we'll be doing this. So, okay. So I have the light. And I'm trying to find that Leviathan. Or that Mother Sorrow. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take the main pieces of Mother Sorrow. Right? I'm also going to go into my weapons, into the spinners. I'm going to grab the spinners' weapons. Another day at work. Lord help me. I hope it goes smooth, Robert. Okay, so I'm going to grab the, well, we already have the staff, so I won't need that right away. So we'll hold off. Okay, so we're going to apply all, now I'm not taking a Mundus either. No Munduses. Like I said, I just want to minimize. I want to use 2 sets that are comparable in stats for Stam and Magica. So that's kind of where I'm going, and I need the willpower jewelry. Okay. Okay, it looks good. Now the first thing I want to go ahead and do is I'm going to use that obnoxious, or that engulfing flame and hit. Right? Just keep doing it. Let the dots kind of resolve a little bit. I feel you, Robert. He's not the sharpest tool in the shed, Mustang, but a tool nonetheless. Whatever. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to pop up my damage report. Hopefully it generates. It's not generating. It's still bugged. Oh, there it goes. Alright. So this is the major thing. Mustang got your invite and added you. Oh, cool deal. Alright, so we take a look at burning and its DPS without any other effects. Max was 8709 for and our engulfing flame was max 5702. So we're taking a look. It's 8709 5702. So I'm going to write this. I'm going to type this in to the chat so I have like a little memo. Okay. Awesome. Sounds good, Joshua. All right. So we got that kind of taken care of. Okay. That's in there. All right. Now, what I want to go ahead and do now is now add my racial passive. So now I'm going to be adding racial passives. So now we're going to add these variables. So we have a base. Now we're going to add racial bonuses. Let it resolve a little bit. We'll hit it again. Let it clear out. Didn't reset. Let me try resetting it. Morning, Sylvia. Okay, there we go. So burning now, we're looking at an increase Or what's that actual decrease? Why the hell did that happen? Let me take a look at this. Okay. 794 on the hit. 753 ticks. $15.54. Let's just go off of the Searing Strike for a minute. So we'll apply 1709 per hit. So we have a 1709. Okay. Now, I'm going to go to the Crown Store. We're going to get race change token. And a respec token. Sherman, you got a decrease because you did not hit it as much. Yeah, I figured. That's why I wanted to go off the base. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, Ray should be a respec token. Should have just went with race, but I didn't. Crown supplies, respecs. There we go. I'm gonna grab both of these. Okay. So we got the base though. But with prior to this, 1554. Add the burning. And we're dealing 1709 on base. Okay. It's kind of where I want to be at. 1709 base. Okay, I'm going to wait till the combat resolves. Now, the biggest thing is me for this. If the class is really, like, completely whacked, it shouldn't deal around the same amount of damage, even with the changes. Okay, so we're going to go Red Guard. We all know what I'm going to be doing. Requires any race, any alliance. I have that. Alright. Let me back out. Can we back out? No. Yo, man. Zoss, that's so weak. That's so weak. That is so fucking weak. That is so fucking weak. Oh, they should just give this shit to us. I swear. That it do it on a base damage per hit and not average over time, and you should get better results. Yeah. Well, I've been doing this for a long time, Sherman. A long time. I always go static first and go across the board, incrementally increasing everything. So I was an elite dick. Like, I've done everything in MMOs. I was, like, the top. I have server first on multiple games. I was a 40-man raid leader and everything. So, you know, when people test things and they do it, like, during, you know, rotation, in this game we have Twitch system. So we can't use a macro system to determine. So I actually have to get any race, any alliance and do this over again. So what I end up doing, I always go static. The law of any elitist... To me, to the elite, well, now I'm not elitist anymore. I just play for fun. But one of the major things I always said, what's the static value? Because when we ran metrics, we could actually, a lot of our metrics was able to decipher other variables that were inputting our total calculation. So we got a base modifier on metrics, and we got variable increases depending on set effect. So it'll say effect increased by 8%, this increased by 12%, this increased. So it was a total breakdown of our metrics. And to me, that's what, because we could, take away the variables because those are by chance or applied effect. And in this game, we can't be so whatever. So static still applies to the base rule. And I always, as an elite player, a former elitist, always static. Never fucking with the other variables as least as possible. So I always tell people, you want to call yourself an elitist, better know fucking static values. If you don't know static values and they're going to call themselves elitists, get the fuck out of my face. I've been doing it 21 years. I've done the hardest content in MMOs. I've been a tester for multiple companies. Nah, that's how I roll. I always static input the variables. Decipher each variable one by one. But that's what they don't. They just go through an entire rotation and be like, oh, well, it's not us that's fucking up. It's the class that's fucked up. Well, you did take a look at statics, man. You if you're going to compare and say this is apples and oranges from the same class, you better have static value. You better have it. If you want me to take you serious, you can brainwash any other player if you want. You're not brainwashing me. I want to see it. I want to see static numbers every day of the week. Okay. Yeah, I need that. Can't believe I had to do this again. Oh, it sucks. Okay. So, I need, but yeah, that's why I don't take them serious, man. It's just like, I can't. Oh, I know what you're saying. I was the same as you, but this game uses a different setup, so it should be based on per hit, then over time do the light and heavy attack rotation. Well, that's the problem. You want to minimize, then add. Because then when you add, you're getting that increase. Remember, passives apply to light attacks, Sherman. So follow-up, for example, is going to apply a different effect on Stam users versus magica. That's why you want to separate the two. One passive like that will totally skew base values. Base damage value per hit is static here. Now, static is static. I'm taking a look at each of the abilities based on Stam, magica, applied effect, applied a variable, add a variable, static effect, add a variable, static effect, add a variable. You do it incrementally. This way, but we don't have those tools. The devs do, we don't. But, that's the thing. Like, there's a method behind my madness, and that's how I come up with my builds. So when I take a look at a build, I'm actually taking a look at the variables that are compounded. It's like compounded. Like, I worked in compounding interest, and it's the same kind of principle, right? How interest is compounded on each different effect, and how that affects your overall income to debt ratio. Same kind of principle. Same kind of principle. So, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to do that race change now. Yeah, baby. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, hit this. I'm going to hit the save. Now we got the red guard going on. All right. We're going to go back in. Life Outlaw PTS, and you got to buy everything. Well, it's cheap. They put it at 1 for us. So it's not like it's costing me money. I get free crowns for characters, and I get free whatever or reduced cost just to go ahead and check it out. All right, so same thing's going to be working, except we're going to go into our inventory here, and I think it's going to be under supplies. Yep. So we're going to go ahead and use our respect scrolls. We're going to go back into our skills. Instead of magica, we're going to pump in everything into stamina. So we have a 1709 with applied effect. Right? Very, 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 very important. Once again, I want to unlock the passives. I'm not going to unlock any armor passives, but I'm going to be using that Leviathans instead in the agility. I want to minimize the variables as much as possible into a static value. No, that's not what I'm saying. You start at a base and build up the numbers to get the right results right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tax advice. So was I. I did taxes. I took 4 years of accounting. Yep. I never want to be a CPA though. No. Oh, gross. Never be a CPA. I wanted to be a bookkeep actually though, Sherman. I actually was thinking about being a bookkeep at one time. But I like working with like, loans and stuff and percentage math a little better. So but anyways, guys, I'm going to keep this as simple as possible, right? And then we're going to switch out that gear. So we're going to replace that willpower now with our agility in the Leviathan set. But we're going to need that Master Sword or Maelstrom Sword, whatever. Usually I get if you're going to use a two-handed, I'd probably pick Masters, but whatever. Now, I'm not going to grab the maul. I want the sword. The maul is going to add penetration. The sword's going to be a reflective thing. So once again, if I need a penetration, I would grab the maul. But that's a variable that's going to be skewed, right? That's another reason I don't want to pick up passives. Now, I mean, it shouldn't, because if I don't pick up the passives, it shouldn't work it. No, that job sucks. CPA is crazy. Yeah, I wouldn't fucking do it. My friend's a CPA. He's like, and then I got offered to do bookkeeping, but at that time, I was doing something else. All right. So, let's go down into, because you got to have a degree to be a CPA too. I'm a college dropout, and you got to be, whatever. But I'm a college dropout. Blah 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 blah. Did I grab it? I thought I did. No, I didn't. Okay, Leviathan. When we take a look at Leviathan, Leviathan is the equal value of what's going on with mothers. So it's all critical value set. So like I said, I want to minimize the variables as much as possible. I want to keep them true, right? So the mother set is going to give me all this critical. So same thing with Leviathan. It does the same thing. Minimize the variables. When you're doing a test comparison, you minimize the indifferent variables as much as possible. Very, 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 very important, guys. So what this allows me to do is dissect the what's going on, for the abilities. Oh, back in the skills. Okay. So we got all these passives unlocked, right? Same thing. We're going to grab the Searing Strike, except this time we're taking Venomous Claws. And this one, we're going to take the Noxious Breath. Now keep in mind, this is the difference here, right? Noxious Breath is going to go ahead and apply Major Fracture. That's going to affect our damage modifier, right? So we're going to do a one prior to adding the modifier and then one after the modifier, because the modifier is Major Fracture. Okay? So 1709 is what we were dealing with the magica with, and that's the 8% increase. Okay? Let's get that base. 13. Okay, and that's without the fracture. Now we're going to add the fracture. See, this is what I'm saying, guys. Look at this. Even with it, we're dealing less. But keep in mind, I did not pick up the armor passives yet, which is another determining factor. So that's a big time difference right there, right? So in this essence, the Stam is dealing less than magica, right? So it's dealing less from initial hit. Now we're going to add those other variables. Okay? So now we're going to add another variable. Mystic, too much math, hurt your head. I'm keeping it simple. No, I'm keeping it simple. So I'm going to now add the passives. Got to get that one. And then we'll do another comparison. So now we have the medium armor, right? So it's another variable that's added. Now I'm not going to add the weapon passives. I will be doing that. But we're going to see when the stamina is going to actually increase versus magica. Is it in the armor passives? Is it in the core of the class passives? No, it's not part of the class core passives. The class is actually magica is dealing more. Why? Because of the engulfing flame, right? The 8% increase. That's why, right? But the fracture still applies. So we need to increase what? The stamina's weapon damage. So that's what this is doing. Because when we take a look at the medium armor, we're going to get that nice thing to agility giving us the 12% modifier. So once again, we got the fracture modifier. Now we have the increased weapon damage modifier. So all of a sudden, these both are going into conjunction to each other to give us a what? A stronger effect. So once again, I'm going to hit it prior to the fracture. We want that base. That's 2124. So 1416 prior to a fracture. Now we're going to add that fracture. Now we're at 1650, and it's still dealing less, right? I'm not making this up. Okay. Now, this is what's going to be awesome. Now, wait till you see this. Now I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to go into the weapons. I'm going to add these passives. Why do I want to add these passives? Very simple follow-up, right? So I use a two-hander on my Stam DK. Some people still use dual wield, whatever. I use the two-hander. Why? Because of the follow-up passive. Well, I know what follow-up's going to do. Follow-up's going to what? Add another increased modifier. That's what it's doing. Okay, so we have that. There's our follow-up. All right, so now we're going to go ahead. We're going to do a heavy attack, fracture, and then the ability, the strike. So heavy attack, fracture, strike. 1730. Do you guys see it? The heavy attack's going to give us the increase. 1730. Okay. And this is the big one. For 7 seconds, I'm getting a 10% towards direct damage attacks. So it's not going to add to the dot. It's going to add to the primary direct damage of the said ability. Right? Which if you take a look at this Venomous Claws, it has an initial damage applied and then a dot effect applied to it. That's what makes the DKs kind of, unique in that perspective. You have the direct and then you have the dot applied. Mystic, you forgot weapon pots. Yeah. I know you're right, but once again, I'm minimizing variables. I'm adding variables as we go along because we want static value. That's what we're testing for. We're just like saying, people are saying mag DKs are weaker than Stam DKs. That's what they're saying, right? That's what they're saying. That's what the fuck they're saying. But when I go ahead and I do a heavy attack, I got that follow-up. Now I applied that fracture. Now I'm hitting this and it's 1730 with 2596 crit, right? I'm not making that up. I don't even have food buff. Like I said, I'm minimizing variables. So that's consistent, right? Now I'm going to do the same thing with the light armor. So we'll let this resolve, and now we're going to go back into the light armor, and we'll do it, prior, and then we'll get that nice effect. Now keep in mind, we don't have follow-up. But even without follow-up, right, follow-up is only dealing 1730. Now I don't have any munduses or food applied to either of these. And the passives are unlocked. So I have the medium armor unlocked. I have my racial passive unlocked, right? I'm using 2 sets in comparison, right? I'm minimizing variables. I'm keeping it true as possible. That's important. It's very, very important. Okay. So I want to go ahead. I'm going to go back into the crown store. And we're going to go ahead and buy that race change again. Okay, and then we're going to go to utilities, and we're going to buy these again. I just get tired of it, guys. Honestly, I get so fucking tired of it. Morning, Papa. I get so fucking tired of literally the players saying, oh, this class is so much weaker. Oh, okay. Let's take a look at this. Let's dive in. Mag DK is okay, but they do not have the DK dunk. So we're going to go with that race change again, right? So once again, we're going to go back to the Dunmer, right? We're going to keep everything else stays the same. We're going back to that nice Dunmer because that Dunmer gets that flame. So we're going to go back in. We're going to get play. We're going to reset our attributes and everything. Now we're going to take a look at light armor again with added variables. But it was dealing 1705, right? In base. 2596 crit. Okay. So once again, now I'm going to switch out my sets again. Like I said, I want to keep it as impartial as possible. I don't want to be biased. I don't want to think, oh. We are going to have to go back. Yep. We're going to have to go back. I forgot to switch out the necklaces and stuff. So we're going to do that again. Because I don't want to skew my results. It's fine. Okay, I got that. Now I have to put that set back on. I'll be damned if I'm not yet hitting that right. It's not gonna fucking happen, not today. Okay, check. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and buy a race token again. I'll be dang, man. That is not happening. Alright. Let's go ahead. Let's use that again. Let's go back to the red guard. We're going to go back in. Okay, we're going to play. Only thing I should have to change is that attributes. All the other stats should be still applied, but we'll check. I wish this metrics was better. Like, I wish it had every breakdown, right? I mean, every single breakdown. Like, actually, these metrics are kind of weak in comparison to what I've used in the past. They're good. It works, but... Okay, that's all still unlocked. Medium armor still unlocked. The only thing I got to apply is the racial passives. Okay, just going back in, double or triple checking, dotting my I's, crossing my T's. Okay, so once again, follow up. You should create 2 different characters, 1 magic, 1 stamp. It's easier to actually just switch. Oh, hold on. Why didn't that? 13. Okay, so 2009, 1304. Okay. And there you see it. 3000, 2009. All right. Looks good. That looks a lot better. All right. Let that resolve. So 3009 and 2009, 3004. I forgot to buy another race change token. I should have just done that. I swear. Okay. Gotta go back in here and get another race change token. Forgot it. Bleh. So what we're trying to do is see when all these different effects are applied. How's it working? How's it looking? Okay. Crown Store. Okay, there we go again. Okay, we're gonna log out, switch it one more time. So the idea is the stamina abilities more powerful than the magica? We're about to find the fuck out, because this will be it. This will tell us. It'll be as clear as fucking day. Okay, and then we'll do heavy attacks. We're going to take a look at heavy attacks too. Don't think I'm not even paying attention to that. Once again, people just kind of approach it in one way, and then they take it on a magica version, and they say, oh, well, the stamina's doing great, but the magica isn't. And they have a whole different rotation, and they're like, well, it's because of this. Well, is it? Is it? Question mark? Because you're applying your build the same way. So, okay. So, now I want to go ahead, and I want to go into my inventory, switch out my gear again. Okay. Now, I'm going to go under here. I'm going to go to supplies. I'm going to use those respects. Okay, now we're going to go back out. We were all stamina. Guess what? We're going all magica. Okay, once again, we're going to pick up all these passives. Except this time we're going to do light armor. We're going to take those burning embers instead of the flames, and we're going to take engulfing flames instead of the breath. Because this is what I'm trying to tell people. It's not the class. It's your fucking configuration. So we're going to pick up now these passives, because remember we picked up the passives in the stamina and the sword. So now we're going to pick up destruction, even though we're not using a destruction ability. And we're going to pick up now the light armor passives. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead with that racial passives. Okay. Now I don't have to do a heavy attack because the destruction staff doesn't get that, right? It doesn't get follow-up. So that's going to be a determining factor once again. But how much are we looking at in the difference? Okay. So they did 2009 base and 3004 crit. So, see, not bad, given the fact that we're off with that follow-up. So it's literally like 30 points per hit. But here's the deal too. I'm not getting major breach. The Stam gets major fracture. But I have the light armor passive. So let's take a look at that for a minute. And let's add that into our equation. Okay, so major breach will give us 5,200 and something. But we'll take a look. Okay, actually I'll do it this way. I'll just unclick the sorting board. Okay. So when we go to puncture and we take a look at like pierce armor, major fractures applying 5,280, light armor is getting 4,884. So we're going to deduct that using our calculators, and my calculator is right here. Let me get that. All right. So 5,200, and I want to make sure this is absolutely correct. 80, take away 4,884. It's 396 difference, and we can offset that into our CP. Now, we didn't use CP. Oh, is it 5,200? No, it's 5,280. Yeah, it's 5,280. You put 90. But yeah, right. So we're looking at 396 difference. So we're going to go into our champion points, and we're going to try to allocate 396 to make up the difference. We don't want anything else. It's a little over. We'll take 1 point. Put it just a little over. Okay. Now, same idea. Oh my God. Who's the fucking man? Who knows this fucking shit? Oh, I'm so fucking good. Oh my God, I'm so fucking good. I'm so fucking good. They suck. They suck. They suck. They suck. They suck. And why? They don't look at static values. They suck. They suck. They don't look at static values. They suck. They suck. They want to talk about balance. They don't know. They want to talk about balance. They don't know. They don't fucking know. They don't fucking know. They don't. They don't fucking know. They're talented players, right? And once again, what does this prove? It proves one fucking thing. That if you're applying it to one part of the Stam, the magica still has the same effect. Nothing changes that. It's the variables. How you outline the build. It's not the class. It's you, motherfuckers. It's you. So when you talk about the mag DK is weak because sustained, because we're doing a heavy attack, the same fucking rule applies. So when I add the dots, what's the Stam DK doing? Very simple. It's doing a heavy attack rotation, right or wrong. So it applies the dots and does a heavy attack rotation. Why wouldn't you be doing that with the mag anyways? If you're doing it on the Stam, why aren't you doing that on the mag? The same concept would apply. Let me think. I would say the stamina DK is looking really good. The mag DK, no. No mag DK. Mag DK sucks. No, motherfucker, you suck. That's why. Okay, so when I lay down these dots, the first thing I'm doing in between is now I'm heavy attacking. That's what I'm doing. So I hit a light attack. I get that boost. You know, I'm applying. Once everything's done, then I'm heavy attacking. The lightning staff has a better weave application. But same kind of effect, man. It's the same fucking principle. It's the same fucking principle, man. It's got dots. That's why DKs have a better rotation as far as their dot throughout their dot rotation. Nightblade's going to have the same thing applies. If mag blades are doing good, I guarantee you Stam blades can do good. Same thing with fucking DKs. These are coming from the players who initially said only Templars can heal. Only this can do this, and only that can do that. That's who it's coming from. It's coming from the same players who stacked CP, who didn't understand diminishing value, diminishing returns. They didn't understand, indifferent curves. They didn't understand none of the mathematical laws applied effects. And that's why you always look at static values. Because variables can be corrupted based on what? A player's familiarity with the rotation. That's why you don't fucking go parse rotation. You don't fucking do it. Why? because you're corrupting your fucking variables. They will sometimes to the degree of you need the light attack rotation on mag DK is better. Right, because of the combustion, you know, you get that nice combustion. But you could do that. You can still add the light with the heavy attack rotation. That's what you do. Mag HA takes longer than mag HA. You mean Stam HA takes longer than mag because you got two mags. It kind of, you know, threw me off. Plus, the follow-up passive on the Stam makes it more effective. No, that's what I just proved, Head. The follow-up passive isn't a determining factor. Because you're getting an 8% increase. It's offsetted from the mags. Yeah, I know what you meant. But you put two mags. Yeah, the heavy attack, I know what you're talking about. The heavy attack's actually on the same time between staff. They're both 2 seconds. Right. They're on the same time. That's what I was just about to say. Head, you missed the boat, actually. They're both on Tuesday. Sherman's right. Yeah, I knew that, too. They're both on 2 second on a heavy attack. There's no difference on their heavy attacks between the two-hand and the staff. The only one who's got a slight difference, just because you can do not a full, is the dual wield, because you don't have to, when you pull back to the thing, you can cut it I think by 2.2 something seconds, right? But ideally, all the heavy attacks have the same duration on heavy attacks. But on a dual wield, you could actually get it where you're not fully drawn, and you still get the bonus applied. Morning Rock. But yeah, no, Sherman's right. And, 2 seconds. They both have 2 seconds. And that's what I just proved here. Okay, so the modifier for follow-up, right? And this is why, once again, they're just dumb. They're fucking dumb. I mean, I'm not trying to diss on their skills. I'm just saying mathematically I don't respect them because they're a little slow. They're fucking just a little slow. For lightning, they both have 2 seconds. Lightning has 2 seconds. Right, for a heavy attack. It's a 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Yeah. But the heavy attack's different on lightning than flame on Inferno. Inferno does more single target heavy attack because lightning has AoE effect. So it has splash damage. Right? So that's why. Okay. So, what are we testing today? Static numbers. The dual-wielded sword and shield have the lowest heavy attack. You can animation cancel, right? And that's what they do. They can literally take 2 point something seconds off the heavy attack for the cancellation, on a heavy attack rotation. They can literally get it in between, boop, boop, and you can drop 2.5 seconds or some shit like that. It's crazy. So that's why a lot of people still go dual wield. Why? Because the dual wield just makes it easy for the cancellation throughout the rotation. Heavy attack can still be done in. You could just still kind of cancel out with the two hand, but it's clunkier. And on staffs you can't. Staffs you can't. It's I have yet to find a heavy attack cancellation that works. Light attack rotation, I think a light attack cancellation is easier on staff, in my opinion. But I mean, once again, that's why you refer to staff. All staffs are 2 seconds and two hands, right? Are 2 seconds exactly. So that's it's bullshit is what I'm saying. This is bullshit. So when I take a look at Engulfing Flames, it gives me a 10% increase to all fire damage abilities. Every one of them, 10%. When I take a look at the two-hander passive and I go into follow-up and I get this, guess what it's giving me? It's giving me 10%. So I'm getting the 10% for follow-up, right? But I'm also getting the 10% on the mag. I'm getting the 4,884 pen on the light attack, on the light armor passives, and then I'm also, the Stam gets it in the ability. That's what I'm saying. You have to take a look at the variables. You cannot do a comparison based on your rotation because your rotation is fucked. Your rotation is fucked. It's not the class that's fucked. It's your fucking rotation that's skewed. You can't fucking do that. The best way to approach the mag DK is the same fucking way you approach the Stam DK. How? You lay down the dots and you go heavy. That's what you do. That's how it works. And you pull out, guess what? comparable competitive fucking numbers. So any motherfucking content creator saying the mag DK is weaker than the Stam DK, you're fucked up in the head. For God's sakes, please look at static numbers. Always. The golden rule to be an elite MMOer. Static remains true 100% of the time. 100% of the time. You can't skew static. You are not an elitist if you don't pay attention to the golden rules. You have to pay attention to the golden rules. Static rules all. All. Right? All the time. Funny thing is, I've been playing my mag DK as a dot since beta. Right. Yeah. It's a dot build. It's just a You cannot ignore the laws. If you ignore the laws, you're not an elitist. You're a wannabe. You're young. Get over it. You'll learn. Hopefully. Maybe. Sherman, you have cooler healers than Mystic. Sherman's got some really nice builds. I like Sherman's builds. I like them. It makes you think. That's what I like. Make you think, man. Get on the thinking game. Start looking. Open up the box. It's in there. I promise. I promise. It's easier to blame equipment than it is to say it's the user's error. But that's the problem, right? Though, Josh, it is the problem because it's the user's error. That's why you look at static every fucking day of the week. Because this is a Twitch-based game. It's not turn-based. I can macro. If I can macro this game, right, on like a traditional MMO that was turn-based, I could macro. If it was turn-based, I could macro the system and get the same numbers. And essentially, that's what the devs do when they do their tests, right? The devs aren't stupid. They're not. They're really smart, I promise you. I have talked to more than a couple of devs in my lifetime, and I will promise you, these devs are usually bigger nerds than I am, and I'm a pretty big nerd, but they're bigger nerds than me, and they're rarely intelligent. So they already knew, hey, man, we're going to offset the difference between the Stam and the mag on this version by doing this. Oh, okay, yeah. How many people are going to say there's a balance issue? 90% of them? Why? Because they're fucking stupid? Yeah, sure, okay. Yeah, it's so meta. Right, yeah, cool. Here's a fist pound. Yeah, cool. True, Josh, it is, and many do gear is only something that helps set the numbers on the stats. There are 5-piece bonuses can do the same to your build with a lot of other sets. Right, exactly. Lewis, are you in chat? Yeah, where is Lewis? Lewis, y'all, I usually see Lewis somewhere. I hope he's here. He might be working. You want single target burst, you go Nightblade. That's what it's designed for, right? Each class has its own individual design. But if one, I promise you guys this, with the exception of the Templar. Templar's got an issue because of its the one ability for between Stamplar and the Magplar. That's kind of where Magplar's kind of hurting at the moment, right? And that's true, and I know that. I'm aware of it. I am. And I mean, I'll show a comparison maybe later this week in the same retrospect of what's going on, right? But I promise you, the two abilities that dude, Mystic, you and many are geeks, not dev nerds. I know. I like that idea. I'm a geek. Okay, right. I stand corrected. I'm not a nerd. I'm a geek. But dev nerds are really good, guys. I'm telling you, these guys are so fucking good most of the time. Now, do they make mistakes? Yes. Do they tweak things? Yes. But most of the time when we ask for balance, they're sitting there pounding their head off of a desk saying, didn't you catch the differences of how to lay out the build rotation? Now, that's what they're doing. They're literally pounding their heads off the fucking desk because we got players who think they know what they're talking about and they don't. And it's like, seriously, guys, you have to pull back. You have to take a look at it and dissect it. You have to. You have to say, why is this class being so effective versus the other class? Is it in the passives, or is it in, the racials, or is it, what's given its diversity? Well, once again, we didn't take up the Mundus, right? So if I was going to go with this type of format, let's say I would go with the Warrior and the Apprentice, I'd still get the same type of results. He wanted me to make him a crafted set last night, but I think he DLC'd. Oh, okay. Was going to ask if you were able to make that gear for him last night, Mustang. Oh, gotcha. But yeah, definitely, guys. That's devs, nerds have the math. We do not. We have only reverse engineering their math with tools that are not perfect to theirs. Well, keep in mind they also have programs too, Sherman. So I've actually, when I tested alpha for a couple games, certain games are different. They would give me access to some tools. And one of the major games I loved was Cheyenne. When they were doing Stargate Worlds, I had access to the entire code in a tool thing that I couldn't adjust the coding, but it gave me the perspective of what was happening to the code as it was processing. And that tool became very, very much a necessity for me at the time because I was able to bug hunt, right? So by looking throughout the code, and when an error happened, it isolated the incident. So the devs could say, okay, this is where it's breaking. This is where we're having the problem in code, and they have those tools to their resource, to their disposal. So those tools are at their disposal where we don't have it. But yeah, it's really nice, to take a look at, when you take a look at devs tools, and I've gotten to play with many of them because I was going to create a company, an MMO company. So I've actually have firsthand experience with a lot of the tool sets and engines that they run with. Yeah, they have the tools we don't, right? And that's a factor. That's a huge factor, because now we have to break everything down manually, which sucks. But these guys, they do know the math. They're calculating. Most developers use tools and math to go ahead and input. And then when something goes wrong, then they have to take a look, okay, is there something in the coding or is there something in the math? There's only two options there. It's either in the way it was coded, or is something in the math that's not resolving correctly. So most players think devs don't know the game they are programming. That's the dumbest thing I hear players say. Yeah, you would know, Rock. You were a programmer. Players, not prayers. Dang, autocorrect. Yeah, I knew what you meant. But honestly, guys, yeah, I had tools when alpha testing games for bugs. Some of the tools are great, but NDA is right, and you can't talk about it, and that's. I didn't like some of the games that would let you test, and you were submitting tickets like it was a live thing, and I'm like, I don't necessarily think this is going to help you, but yeah, I'll report them. I'll report the bugs. But it was better when I had like codes like that I could reference to line blah 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 code error blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden they were like, okay, type in, there's the error, there's the issue, resolving. Let's resolve the issue, and that's what was good. I can't redo the code. I don't have access to those tools, so it's nothing like I'm on a server. I don't have access to the mainframe. So it's not like I'm an isolated, person in the game. So it's just giving me a transcript screen of, a box, like in Combat Box, but it's a code box. That's what it was. It's just like, oh, hey, look, there's a lines of code flying down as I'm playing. Devs can run parses hundreds of the time automatically. Yeah, that's what they do. I've seen it. Like, dude, that was the first awesome thing that I seen a dev do when they go like what I call Superman mode. Like, literally, they will actually auto-gen their parses. So they hit each ability in a time and keybind it into the rotation. Hit it, speed it up at maximum of what the class or character can do, and get a full rotation out before you can even say, what the fuck? And they'll have the average DPS on every said class. So once again, to me, it screams, who in the fuck do you think you are? These dudes know. We're the ones having the problems, not the devs. We are. So most of the time. There are some times that are different. Plus, devs work with actual code. Can change the code, see what the change looks. Yeah, they're working with the code. We're not. They're working with code. It's not a fun, whatever. Yeah, we have tools that allow us to do the same. It gives us a heck of a lot more info in some tools than we do with the combat metrics, right? So, in the essence of this is what I'm trying to say. Mag, DK, is not weaker than Stam, DK, with the abilities. It's just not the way it is. If you're going to go ahead, now let's take a look at caltrops here for a second. Because I use caltrops, right? We all know that caltrops is being usually used, right? So this would scale off max stamina. But once again, why? Why are Stam DKs using it? Well, it's very simple. They're using it because it's, dealing dot damage. So the same rule applies. If I'm a magica user and I'm not doing that, well, guess what I would want? I would want a dot damage, right? Now this is a big time difference, and this is where I think some of the balance issues need to be concerned. Is you need to take a look at comparable effects. So if I'm going to say use like Ash Cloud, right? I would definitely use the Eruption majority of the time. But listen, I'm dealing 2,521, right? So I'm dealing 2,521, and we will take a look at this. Now let's take a look at the duration too real quick. So we have a duration of 18 seconds. Caltrops is 12 seconds. So we're going to compare these two dot effects in comparison. So if I lay down Eruption, wrong ability. Let that resolve. Hit the wrong button. Okay. Okay, 709, 472, 709, 472, 709, 472. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the Crown Store. Okay. Okay. So what? Just one more time here. Just make sure. 472, 472, 472, 472. Now, mind you, I'm just using that ability. All right. So again, we're going to change, and we'll take a look at the caltrops in comparison. 472. All right. What's up, guys? David, what's up, dude? Welcome to the stream. I'm almost ready to wrap this up, but definitely wanted to get on here. This was well worth it. Talking to devs is awesome. Devs don't like me too much. They put up with me. I'll say that. I feel bad sometimes. I really do. Okay. So I'm going to use these again. All right. Now, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to put all stamina, right? All right. Now we want to take that two-hander passives. Even though we're not going to proc anything, but we're going to grab all the passives regardless. Right. All right. Now we're going to go to assault. We're going to grab those caltrops. We're going to grab the razor. All right. We'll switch out the gear real quick. Always want to do that too. Okay. Looks good. See? That's a huge difference. The crit's comparable, but the base is different. And that is the point that I always make when you're taking a look at comparable AoE effects. So if anybody is want to say, oh, well, why is this working? Well, it's not necessarily with the class. It's with the secondary effects in comparison, right? So Caltrops is dealing more damage than Eruption. So that would indicate, does Eruption need a buff? Well, yeah, it does. In comparison, if I was comparing two ground AoE effects, right, that would tell me, like, in comparison, I dealt 472 with the 1000 crit, and then I take a look at this. Now I'm dealing, that, but now look, 701 base. So I'm getting a better base damage effect from Caltrops versus Eruption on a mag. So these are issues that need to be addressed. These are the issues that need to be addressed. Not the class, not the passives, not the class abilities in comparison to Stam or Mag or even heavy attacks. It has to be between comparable rotations. Like, okay, there's Eruption, right? Eruption has a direct damage effect, and somebody would argue, okay, well, that's the difference. So there's a direct damage effect. Yeah, but to what degree? That's where we have to take a look. Is the upfront damage enough to calculate the missing values? Well, that's what the devs do. That's what the devs' decision. So it has a direct damage effect where Caltrops doesn't. How was Quest? How was Quest boring on Xbox? I'm telling you, it was. I have to get all the skill points again, right, David? So I'm literally having to do all the storyline quests to get all the skill points all over again, because that's my main crafter. So I need as many skill points as I can grab. And I've done it so many times. Oh my gosh. And I always do it on my mains. That's going to be crafting. Whoever's going to be the main crafter. Because I get those hirelings and I get all that other shit. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like starting from scratch. But that's what's got to be taken a look at, okay? So keep in mind Eruption, when we take a look at Eruption, right? Eruption is different in the aspect that it has a upfront effect, right? So it has that nice upfront effect, but then it trickles down, right? Well, Caltrops is way different. Caltrops doesn't have, a direct effect. So that's where it's at. You have to ask yourself, what's the you love questing in ESO? Wow, Mustang, you are a better person than me. I like questing when I first do it, but when I do it over and over again, and I've done the same quest, I'm like, oh. I take the initial quest. That's what I'm into, but, telling you. Telling you. All right, so that's the difference between the Caltrops and Eruption. They both have AoEs. Mystic is right. They need to look at the skills to the rotation, but we also need less of the people trying to use the same build on every class like they do. I agree, Sherman, 100%. Thank you. Amen, brother. Amen, brother. Preach on. One of the things I get asked is what gear is better than CP160, and I tell them they are gear capped. Then they ask, why doesn't CP go to 690 so you can customize your character? Yeah, but the funny thing is, if you kept addressing a cap issue, right, people would have to keep farming the gear over and over and over again. So to me, I don't like that idea. I like it at the 160 too, like what you're saying, Rock. I know what you're saying. Like, I don't think players get it. Like, 160 is good because it gives players accessibility, and then on top of it, you don't have to keep farming for your fucking sets. That's time consuming, especially for how many sets there are. I love questing and looking at how pretty the game. Oh, the game's beautiful. The devs do such an awesome job environmentally, and each is so unique. Except a couple of the delves. When I used to go some delves and they had the same kind of layout, and like, you could tell what got rushed and what didn't. Let's put it that way. I like ESO questing, but the Clockwork City quest was boring. I like the metaphor within Clockwork City, though. It's what I like about Clockwork City. There's like metaphors and lore in that dates back to the whole tribunal, the beginning of the tribunal and stuff. That's kind of cool. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna let this go. I'm gonna end the stream. I'm gonna get on live. I gotta work on my DK, my mag DK. I gotta get some sky shards, some lore books, trying to get my stuff. I'll be on Xbox a little later. Actually, I probably will get on Xbox just to train my mount and check my research. Then I'll get on live. But yeah, honestly, guys, do not, for God fucking sakes, do not believe in human error. And this is what I'm always tell people. If you fuck a rotation, if you apply the rotation in the same aspect, you'll get surprisingly better results, right? If you're applying a rotation like that to Stam, you should be applying that same kind of concept to what? Magica as well, right? It's just that simple. Don't over fucking complicate it. Stop it. And as you guys could see, we got the same value to occur. We had an indifference between the magic and stamina based on what? Class abilities. So one is not stronger than the other. It's a myth. It's a farce. They're full of shit and they don't know because they're human. We all are. All right, I'm Mr. Craven. This is ESO Daily. Thank you for watching, and once again and always, don't believe in the meta. Death to the meta. Have a nice day.